Some of the most poignant moments in my career are when people I respected enormously cried in front of me and said they were sorry they didn't get it right. It gave me the courage to do that myself.
I think that being part of a group, be it a small group or a bigger group, it doesn't really matter, because you need some level of mentoring. You need to be able to discuss, debrief, reflect on what's going on and to learn from that.
Hi, this is Connect, Pause and Reflect, CPR for clinicians. In this series, we hear from paediatric clinicians from across Australia who joined us as part of a 4-year research project to share their reflections on the experience of delivering care for complex patients. Our hope is that their shared reflections may help others to feel empowered, more connected, and able to appreciate how they make a difference to patients and families and what sustains them in the many challenges they face. In today's episode, we explore the value of mentoring and the qualities and different models of good mentorship. We start with clinicians reflecting on the value of being able to share ideas, having someone in your corner, and being seen as a person rather than just the role.
I would hate to be entering general paediatric practice in a solo location. I think that being part of a group, be it a small group or a bigger group, it doesn't really matter, because you need some level of mentoring. You need to be able to discuss, debrief, reflect on what's going on and to learn from that, because patients are on a journey. You're on the journey with them. You're learning about them as you're going. And acknowledging that, I think, is important. New people in the field shouldn't expect that they'll know everything to start with. They will be feeling their way, but that's what happens. I remember starting out and joining with another paediatrician, and he was 4 or 5 years down the track from me, and just having that capacity to bounce ideas was really, really helpful. And it's so important to actually come to terms with the fact that you don't and can't know everything, and that you have to be able to be open to getting help.
Really is having someone in your corner. And it doesn't matter what the barriers are. It's actually just having someone in your corner and knowing that you've got that safe space. It's that person that you can lean on, who empowers you, that you trust, and accessible without feeling like you're not overburdening them.
The crux of it actually, I think, is actually caring for that other person as a person and not as a person who can do the jobs on the ward. And I think I've really seen that when senior clinicians have done that as a registrar and, even knowing if you've had a bad night and saying, how are you? Not how are patients.
Next, clinicians reflect on the importance of mentors being open, fallible, and able to express their vulnerability and capacity for emotion.
Probably the best people that have taught me in this profession are people who can articulate their vulnerabilities, so that the acknowledgement, you're not finished, you're not a done product as a doctor, and you keep evolving, that's not only useful for yourself, but I think it's actually quite useful and liberating for the people that you work with who are around you. I just value someone being vulnerable. Just say, yeah, that's hard, and just having someone hear you. I think there's value in not having the solution, and just having someone who's been there before you, or even side by side with you, say, oh yeah, that's hard. You're doing the best you can, and that's great. For me, that's what I would like.
I've always found that fallibility in consultants quite endearing, and been drawn to sort of seeking mentorship from some of the consultants that were fallible and more open about that. When I started my fellow year, I just started working in this place where everybody was open. It's like this veil was lifted, and I sort of thought, oh, all these consultants aren't sure all the time. They have a go. They talk to each other. I can see how open they were. And I just felt confident being able to sort of show my vulnerability and ask questions. And that was one of the easiest ways of me transitioning to being a consultant, because I thought, actually, it's not that scary because we're all kind of in this together.
I think we all felt imposter syndrome, but it's been really, I think for me, when senior people ahead of me who I think are smashing it have really vulnerable moments. Even these people that are amazing want to be better, and that's part of being good at your job, is always having that reflection. But I think I've always had a lot of value from people being vulnerable.
I had a very senior clinician who was struggling with the anticoagulation for a lady, and we couldn't really get it right. And I was like, what do we do about this? And he picked up his mobile phone and he called the head of haematology, and he just put this little intern on the phone. He was very candid. He said, I have no idea, but let's just ask. And if the head of respiratory and ICU was happy to do that, then why should I be afraid to ask a question? I think it's really setting up for the rest of my time to not be afraid to ask. I feel like I was very, very privileged in learning that lesson in my first year as an intern.
Some of the most poignant moments in my career are when people I respected enormously cried in front of me and said they were sorry they didn't get it right. It gave me the courage to do that myself. And so emotional intelligence, which I used to think you can't teach, you actually can make people more aware of standing in each other's spaces and respecting the way you speak. What you say will affect that person, and then that person, and then that person.
In the next section, clinicians discuss the process of choosing mentors and what makes them gravitate towards certain people.
People they gravitate to models and to mentors and to people that they respect. That's why we move towards where we move, and I think you should be unashamed of that. I would say if you've got someone that you admire, that's your mentor, stick to them like glue.
I think the best role models do express their goodness, their aspirations, their competence, their struggle, their vulnerabilities, the lot. And I think that's a gift to anyone around you. And I think that is kind of mentoring in a very informal sense. And we're all capable of taking a bit of this, a bit of that from many people. We don't have to have one mentor.
The idea of a mentor, it doesn't need to be the one person that we get everything from all at the one time, throughout our career and have that continuity of relationship with. Because, I've been mentored by people who are maybe more junior to me in certain aspects of career, professionalism and empathy, and observing juniors and then observing seniors. So I suppose you create a bit of a tapestry of people throughout your career who can demonstrate skills, soft and hard skills, and things that you can admire and take something away from.
A lot of what we talk about, I think, is modelling of behaviour. And I would say that will be a big thing for me. And that's looking at people and saying, I want to be like that. And I could name 3 very clearly to you, because I just respected the way that they lived their lives, really, and they treated people.
It was just, he exuded wisdom. You just kind of felt, not only was he someone that totally cared about his patients, but he cared about the people caring about his patients. Those sorts of exposures at pivotal points in your career can make a fundamental difference in terms of your abilities as a professional to know that there will be hard times and that other people have had times, or this is par for the course for this situation, but you've just got to push through and you'll be okay.
On the mentorship thing, I need to remember that I can be that person for someone else, and those little corridor conversations that might be a nothing moment to make could totally just pick them up.
As we near the end of today's episode, clinicians reflect on their access to mentorship and the models of mentorship they desire.
I don't know the model that it works, because people often talk about mentorship, but I don't know at a practical level how that works, particularly for people that are working in much smaller teams. And, is it better to have someone completely external? Is it someone non-medical that is better to have that sort of mental relationship with?
I think one of the real difficulties is actually mentorship or supervision, or, who's your friend, who's your ally. It's all quite mixed in. And the big thing aside of training is you realize, I'm no better prepared to mentor you than the person that I was expecting to mentor me. And so I think it's humbling.
I think it is a pity that it's very informal in medicine. I had a lot of people just dropping into my office and checking up on me. And that was really powerful and really useful, because that was an extremely hard year. But it is informal. I think a more structured, formal mentorship would be valuable.
I found it really lacking in that transition to consultantship as well. And I found that you have to be quite proactive to get it sometimes, and so I think I've got better at that, in terms of just proactively asking for that help and advice. It is interesting how little we seem to sort of offer that, because people are so happy to give it when you ask for it.
Professionally, having someone as a sounding board for professional decisions has also been kind of lacking at certain times in my career. Do I do a master's or a PhD to get jobs? Those sort of decisions and weighing up the pros and cons, that is part of mentorship as well. And I have to think about the fact that it is difficult to go and approach people and continue to do that. And not everyone is going to have the opportunity or the means to do that. So I think there does need to be some level of formality to it in order for there to be equity in terms of access to mentorship.
My experience of mentoring has been just kind of finding people. I always think that my family, where you have times where you're really close with someone that kind of, there can just be someone for a little period who you go to and you talk to about things and you don't even really realize you're being mentored, even having someone who's not medical. And so last year I got to do coaching with a sort of non-medical coach. I spent the first half of the year meeting with this person once every month. And what I realized was you need to keep you have to learn how to be mentored as much as you need to learn to be a mentor. And having someone who can actually do that is worth its weight in gold.
Senior clinicians have commented that there are fewer peer clinicians sometimes they feel they can speak to as they climb the pyramid. And that thought worries me. And I think we ought to be mindful of the value of mentors and buddies across the whole career trajectory to avoid isolation at any point. I think mentors and companions don't necessarily have to come from one's own unit or subspecialty, and may not even have to be a medico. A variety of relationships of mutual support can be a great scaffolding in a career, sharing laughs, tears, and challenges. And for me, one of the riches has been the variety of people that I've been able to interact with. I think well worth cultivating.
That concludes today's podcast on the value of mentoring. If you're interested in learning more about the research project behind these podcasts, or about hosting Connect, Pause and Reflect sessions in your workplace, further resources are available on the Sydney Children's Hospitals Network website. We would like to acknowledge the ClinEquip steering group led by Professor Annie Bai, including Fleur Leman, Professor Kenneth Nunn, Suzanne Nevin, Erin Beavis, Rachel McLaughlin, Rebecca McIntosh, Doctors Rani Sachdev and Elizabeth Palmer, and the ClinEquip Advisory Group who contributed to the co-design of these resources. We thank the Manildra Group for philanthropic funding. Thank you for listening.